Hey, eighth grade. So our learning target today is I can graph equations in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at a bunch of graphs, and we're going to compare them. We want to take a look at what happens when the slopes are the same, what happens when the slopes are different, what happens when the y-intercepts are the same. So we're going to take a look at a bunch of different variations and really kind of process what's going on in all those. So we have y equals mx plus b. In each of these situations down below, they're all already in y equals form, which is fabulous. We always need y equals form to proceed. So we have y equals happening. So all those are the same. You'll notice that the mx plus b, though, is different in all of these down here. To start this, I would like us to recognize that the slope on each of these is 1. So we have 1s here all the way down. So we have slopes of 1. Our y-intercepts do change. So let's go start filling in the slope and y-intercept portion of this. So for this first example, we have a slope of 1. A y-intercept is 3 because we have our y equals mx plus b. Our slope here is 1. Our y-intercept in that problem is 2. In part C, our slope is 1. Our y-intercept is 0. In part D, slope is 1. Our y-intercept is negative 5. Our part E, our slope is 1, and our y-intercept is negative 7. So when we recognize these, what we're going to do is we're going to fast graph each and every one of these. I would like you to color code them if at all possible. I know you might not be able to, but that might kind of help you see the difference. So as we start to graph these, we're going to fast graph. We're going to start with the y-intercept of 3, which is a place right on that y-axis. Remember, when we're fast graphing, we have to identify the y-axis, and that's where we start our first coordinate, that y-intercept. That was not a very straight line. I'm sorry about that. Okay, moving on. Our y-intercept is 3, so up at 1, 2, 3. And we're going to work our slope from there. When we say a slope of 1, we really mean 1 over 1. Rise 1, run 1. So from there, we're going to rise 1, run 1. We're going to rise 1, run 1. All the way through. Rise 1, run 1. Rise 1, run 1. All the way down. So, and we can work it the other direction, just kind of following that pattern. But I remember what I did is I found on the y-intercept, I started at 3, and then I worked my slope from there. So we have this nice straight line, y equals mx plus b. I'm going to use my line tool because I'm not super great at drawing straight lines. And this would be our first graph, which I'm going to label it graph A because it's part A. And I guess you don't have to color code it as long as you label it with letters. Okay, so moving on to the next one. For our next one, our y-intercept is at 2. So we're going to go up to 2 on the y-axis. And then we're going to work our slope from there again. Our slope is 1, which really is 1 over 1. Rise 1, run 1. So we're going to rise 1, run 1. Rise 1, run 1. Rise 1, run 1, and so on all the way through this graph. So we're going to run our line through that. And that gives us our b value. So our b is, that's our b value, or our b. Okay, so now moving on. Next problem here, our y-intercept is 0, which means we're right at that origin. So your y-intercept is 0. We're going to run our slope again. 1 over 1. Rise 1, run 1. Rise 1, run 1. And now you only need technically 2 data points to make a straight line. But I like to put a couple more just to make sure my lines are nice and straight. You can see it's not probably my best skill is drawing a straight line, so I'm using the line tool. That's graph C. You might notice already that the one thing that's happening in these graphs is that they are parallel to each other. And they all have the same slope, so just something to think about. But let's continue to graph to see what the pattern is. Down at negative 5 is our y-intercept, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rise 1, run 1. Rise 1, run 1. And so on all the way through. There is our graph. So we have y equals mx plus b. And there's our graph. That's line D. Starting at negative 5, rise 1, run 1. Moving on to line E. Line E, we start at negative 7. I don't have that color available to me. So negative 7 here. So our y-intercept, and we're going to rise 1, run 1, rise 1, run 1, all the way up. And then this would be our last graph there, which is graph E. So the thing that we notice about these lines, so it's saying, what do you notice about the lines? You would say that the one thing that you probably should notice about the lines is that the lines are parallel. And because the lines have the same slope, they'll always be parallel when they have the same slope because they're growing. They're growing at the same rate, the same slope. So we have parallel lines, we have the same slope. Okay, so that's our first example. And now we're going to take a look at another example on the next page, where we're going to look at the same y-intercept and see how that changes things on the next page. All right, so on the next page here, we have a different scenario. So we have our slopes and our y-intercept. Now notice they're all in y=4, which is fabulous. We need them to be like that in order for to analyze any graph. We have to have y equals. So as we go through this course of this year, you'll see that sometimes it's not like that. So our slope is 2 here, and our y-intercept is 1. Our slope is 3 here, and our y-intercept is 1. Our slope is 4 here, y-intercept is 1. Our slope is -2 here, and our y-intercept is 1. So we look at the y-axis. Here's our y-axis. We're going to go ahead and fast graph these, okay? So as we fast graph them, the y-intercept here is at 1. So we're up at 1. And we're going to run our slope there. Our slope is a 2, which really is like 2 over 1. So we rise 2, we run 1. So we're going to rise 2, run 1, rise 2, run 1, rise 2, run 1. And remember, you only need 2 data points to graph a line. But I'm going to put a couple more just to kind of get a good feel for that. So that is the line A there. Rising 2, running 1. That's my slope of 2. All right, moving on to graph B. So for graph B here, I have a y-intercept starting at 1 as well. But my slope is 3, which is really 3 over 1. Rise 3, run 1. So for my y-intercept here, I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3, run 1. Rise 1, 2, 3, run 1. Now, again, you only need 2 data points to make a line. So we're going to go ahead and run that line through there. And we have this as line B. You can see it's a little bit steeper, still going through that coordinate 0, 1, however. Line C still goes through 1, just like the other ones. This time it's a little bit steeper. It's a slope of 4, which really means rise 4, run 1. If this were money that we were making, we want it to be the biggest number possible. Rise 1, 2, 3, 4, run 1. Rise 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, run 1. So we're going to go ahead and run that graph there. So that gives us a C. There's our graph for C. And then finally, we have this y-intercept of 1. The slope this time is -2, so pay attention to that. -2 really means that we're going to go down 2 this time, right 1. So we're going to actually be running in the opposite direction. Still starting at 1, but we're going to go down 2, right 1 now. Down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1. Now again, you only need 2 data points to make a line, but I like to put a cup on there if I can get my pen to work, so we can have a kind of an idea of what's going on. That is the final graph there, graph D. As you can see, graph D. So 3 of them are increasing, 1 of them is decreasing. So we can say, how are the graphs alike? We can say that, well, they all have this common point, 0, 1 happening. So for sure we have that. So how are they alike? All the lines have the same y-intercept. That y-intercept there is 0, 1. They all go through that coordinate here, all of them. But they have different slopes. We have a slope of 2, 3, and 4, where 4 is the steepest, but then we also have a slope of -2, which means it's going in the other direction. Doesn't mean it's smaller, it's just going in the other direction. All right, so that's how we compare some of those lines. So let's talk about how we are going to fast graph. We kind of already did this in the lesson, but let's talk about how we fast graph. So as we fast graph, I'm on the next page then, our steps are, you first need to plot the y-intercept, the B. So plot the B right on that y-axis, and then from there we rise run to find friend's room. So you're thinking about it like, I'm going to plot my hotel room. It's going to be the y-intercept. I'm going to always be on that y-axis, and then I'm going to plot my friend's room, and then we check a point to make sure it kind of makes sense. So those are our steps for graphing points. So first thing we need to do is kind of find out where that y-axis is. It's always that line, vertical line going up and down. There's our y-axis. We start by plotting 2. Maybe you need some more time to write that down. If you do, go ahead and pause that video, but I'm going to move on. So we're going to find that y-intercept is at 2. That's my hotel room, 0, 2. My friend's hotel room, I'm going to find by working my slope, rising 3 and running 4. So I'm going to rise up 3, 1, 2, 3, run 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my friend's room. You only need 2 points to make a line, and there we have it. There is our line. There is our line. Y equals mx plus b. That's called fast graphing. Okay, example number 2, we're going to fast graph as well. First thing we do is we find our y-intercept. So here's our y-axis. Our y-intercept is the place where the graph crosses. So we have -3 here. So here's our y-intercept at -3, -1, -2, -3. That's my hotel room. So this is my hotel room. I'm going to find my friend's hotel room by working from there. We're going to rise 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 2. Rise 5, run 2. So as I graph it, we end up with this as our line. That's our fast graph of y equals mx plus b. Next problem down here, example number 3. I have a +0 here. So my y-intercept, so I have this place where the graph crosses. We have this y-axis, and we're going to start at 0. So we go ahead and plot at 0. That's that origin. That's my hotel room, and I'm going to work my friend's hotel room from there. I'm going to find it. There's my slope. It's -4/1, which means I go down 4, right 1. So from here, I'm going to go from my hotel room at the y-intercept. I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1. You only need 2 data points to make a line. So I'm going to do it one more time, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1. Connect the dots, and there's our line. Y equals mx plus b, and there we have it. That's called fast graphing. I hope you're feeling okay about that. Let's do one more, and then we're going to summarize. Here we go, guys. Let's finish this up. So our y-axis is really important to us. It's where we find our thing called our y-intercept, where we begin. That's going to always be my hotel room. So 5 is where we begin, up at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's my hotel room. I'm going to find my friend's hotel room from there. I want you to attach the negative to the numerator. That's down 1, right 2. So from there, we're going to go down 1, right 2. Down 1, right 2. So there is our line, y equals mx plus b, and there we have it. So that's our summary for that is how we fast graph. We find the b, we work our slope from there. So just for summary today, remember that it's y equals mx plus b. All these things that are on the screen are very important. Slope is how we move. Y-intercept is the beginning. We rise, run it. We have an xy ordered pair. All those things are very, very important in our work. And then also, remember positive slopes are going uphill and negative slopes are going downhill. So kind of 3 important things that today. And then finally, a slope of -5 really means -5/1. All right, guys, so your homework tonight is really just a fast graph. You don't have to set up a big, huge table. You don't have to do any of that. I just want you fast graphing. Plot the y-intercept. Remember, that's your hotel room. Work your slope to find friend's room from there. Okay, guys, your homework tonight is to finish all of page 6 and page 7. It shouldn't take you very long because you're just fast graphing. So it should be kind of a fast homework assignment tonight. Have a fabulous night.